Hey guys, it's Britton. If you don't know me very well, I am a Soprano 1 section leader, and today I'm giving a speech on why I think I would be a wonderful chorale president. I also have a running mate who's running alongside me for vice president, which is Gilmore-Essig. So today we want to talk about a few of our ideas on what we plan to do as president and vice president. And we want to start with talking about this, how we think we can implement a smooth transition into the new school year. As you all know, the pandemic affected chorale greatly, and we think that in the transition into the 2021-2022 school year, it's going to be a pretty rough transition. And as president and vice president, we think we can implement some wonderful things that help that transition go a little bit smoother. We know that we cannot fill all the gaps that have been created by the pandemic, but we know that we can have a supportive culture of chorale and not only have socially a supportive culture, but using our music and our musical skills to help transcend that struggle and implement just what we know as a chorale, how we can be the best people we can possibly be, and just make the transition as smooth as ever. We know that it's not going to be perfect, but that's just part of life. And we know that as president and vice president, we think that we can just get chorale together once again after the pandemic and just make it a wonderful transition together. The next thing that I want to talk about is inclusivity. We want to cross the lines of just having certain friend groups and just being friends within sections or being friends with certain people. We want to make sure that we're broadening our horizons within chorale and, getting to know as many people as we can in chorale, because chorale functions better as a unit rather than dispersed groups of people. So we think that we can try to implement inclusivity in the ways of just outreaching socially, and us as leaders helping new members and even existing members have that outreach and engage with other people than the people that are in their section or even people that they know from other sections, because communicating more is another big issue. And as long as you're socially aware of who's in chorale and the people that you know in chorale, you can be more communicative, and it just builds a stronger connection that can help us better our music in general. Another thing we want to talk about is, because of the pandemic, we've all lost a sense of self, a sense of who we are in chorale, just a sense of our identity, basically. So what we want to do is we want to find the definition of you, and we can do that through our music and through chorale. And as leaders, we're finding the definition of ourselves, and we're going to do it as a journey together, not only as president and vice president, but we want to help the members, section leaders, new members, existing members, help find themselves through music and through a social setting like chorale. Because we know that it's going to be a really hard time going back to school 5 days a week and, meeting new people that you haven't met in chorale before, learning new standard rep, learning new pieces in general. It's going to be really difficult. And we know that finding your identity and finding the definition of yourself and having that is a tool that can help transcend any struggles that you have. And it can really be a great tool to helping chorale become a better place. And we think as president and vice president, we can implement inclusivity, the definition of you, and helping find your identity after the pandemic, and overall helping a smooth transition into the school year.
Hey everyone, it's Karis. For those who don't know me very well, I haven't served any type of leadership position, and I haven't been a section leader or officer or anything like that, but I have been in chorale since I was a freshman, and I am so eager and dedicated to having a great year and moving forward and being optimistic and having really great ideas. I think Britton just introduced some really great ideas for this year. But we want to ensure you that we don't just have good ideas, we have actual implementations to help carry out these more broad, visionary type ideas. So the first one is in terms of boosting ambition, connection, and our collective identity, and making sure that we are inclusive of people regardless of their identity, any type of racial identity, sexual identity that people have, religious identity. We want to be inclusive, and we want to make sure that we're crossing those lines, so that way we are a unit where everyone feels included and safe and seen and heard. So we want to have more team building events similar to boot camp. I think at boot camp, we do those icebreakers that maybe we may not enjoy, but we get to learn, things about each other. And that may be the only time in the year where you may talk to someone, and then you might not talk to them again. And we want to make sure that that doesn't happen, that we all know each other well, because I think that makes you more dedicated when you know the people that you are working with and you care about them. We also want to have monthly sectional check-ins. Of course, your section is so vitally important. You guys are learning your musical pieces together. You guys are in proximity with each other. These are the people you're primarily talking to. And we can also help and make sure that everyone is seen and heard when we are checking in with each other. And we are specifically setting out time to do that. We also we want to incentive build, and we want to remind people of the purpose of this group, because I think this year it was very easy to forget. You were over Zoom, you were singing at home, but we only got to really sing together once during Saturday practice. And you may have forgotten why you joined the group, and even your love of music, which is why we all joined. And when we remind ourselves of the purpose and we remind ourselves what we're doing, we can be more willing to do things that are uncomfortable, that we may not want to do, that may be tedious, like voice tests, like practicing at home, so that way we can improve. I think another thing that is important is possibly the possibility of anti-bias training. I think, like I said, I have heard the different problems that people have had in chorale, and one of them is that they don't feel at home. They don't feel like it's a family, and they feel excluded from the group. And we want to make sure that everyone is educated, so that way they can help move chorale forward, and also help that when we are educated, we can help educate other people, and that can help move our school forward. And I think the last thing within that category is we want more section and officer meetings, because it is good to coach our leaders to be on a one-on-one basis, so that way, because they identify problems, they know their section well, and when we are listening to them and hearing what they are observing and seeing and their ideas, then we can do so much and improve so much. Next is instilling purpose, and I touched on this before. When we remind ourselves of why we're here and the purpose, then we are a lot more willing to do the hard things to get our goals achieved. So another thing we want to do is create a mission statement collectively with all members, regardless of if you hold a position or not. And because that will be how we remind ourselves of why we were here, and the goal that chorale sets out to do. I think we also are thinking of maybe creating a chorale contract, where we kind of set out exactly what you are required to do throughout the year, so that way you are very clear what we need to do in order to meet our goals. And then also having some type of document that maybe clearly defines the role of each position, and just the role that members play in general will help us remember why we are here. Lastly, I just want to talk about increasing outreach and our performances, because we usually have 2 concerts during the school year, and we might have a couple other events, but we don't really get to sing very often, and it's mostly practices where we get to sing. And I think when you aren't having performances, which is why we're here in chorale, is we practice so that way we can perform. You do kind of, it can't be as fun to be there, and you do forget your purpose. So possibly we're going to find volunteer opportunities, so that way we can help. We also talked about transitioning. Music really is a powerful tool that can help heal, and if we can volunteer and give other people our gifts, then that can also help them transition and heal. And also singing at other schools. I know that chorales have done that in the past, sung at middle schools and elementary schools. Inspiring the younger generation. I think that could also help with recruitment. I know that they came to my middle school at Woodward Park, and I really wanted to join chorale after I saw them sing. And also possibly planning more concerts or even informal events at school, so that way we can showcase what we're doing. And I think also when we know that there's a concert coming up, we usually speed things up and we want to, really practice and hone in on things. And when we have more of those, I think that can help a lot with that. And we also want to make it clear that just because someone is in a position, their ideas are not more valued than if, you are a member of Chorale. Everyone's ideas are valued and taken into consideration because each of us have different perspectives and intersectionality. And as we are planning different events, implementing different ideas, you will be included.
So we wanted to touch on a few more things together before we close out. More importantly, the reasons why we're running together and what we have personally as leaders to help project Chorale to be the best possible group it can be and to leave a legacy. So as leaders together, we're both ambitious, courageous, we're gregarious. We have our values and our core values set and instilled in us to project onto other people. We're compassionate people. And that means that, as Cara said earlier, your values, and no matter what position you hold in Chorale, your values and your ideas are valued and are going to be put and set into stone. Whatever you think, you can even give us feedback, and that's what we instill in ourselves. We care a lot about feedback and what other people in Chorale are saying. So as leaders, we'll take that into consideration, and that'll be a moment of importance for us. And I think just overall running together, we just work well together. We just click in general. So I think us as president and vice president will make some great things happen in Chorale.
Yeah, I think we also just wanted to address as leadership positions, because of course Brittany is a section leader, but I have never held a position within Chorale. I think I've had other experiences, and so has Britton, leading different groups before. And we have always had a passion for Chorale and always discuss different ideas that we have. And so we're so eager and excited now that we have the actual chance to run for some type of position to help implement these ideas.
Ambition creates excellence. Vote Britton Wilson and Cars Gilmore-Essig for president and vice president of Chorale.
Yay!